Hey DPS 5th graders, we are here for lesson 4 regarding our essential question of how do myths, folktales, and legends convey ideas about human nature. Today we're going to be working on comparing and contrasting stories in the same genre on their approaches to similar themes and topics. As always, remember that you can pause and rewind as you need so that way you can have appropriate understanding and be able to get everything down. And on that note, make sure that you have something to write on and write with. All right, so we always remember that we're reading to learn, and we're reading myths, folktales, and legends. We're reading to learn that theme or central message that the story imparts upon us. There's many similar themes and central messages throughout myths, folktales, and legends. And today we're going to be revisiting two of them that we've already read, Lazy Anansi and the Story of the Lazy Boy. We're going to be comparing and contrasting their approach to a similar theme. So we're going to be filling out this graphic organizer together. Go ahead and take a minute to get it down on your paper. And once you get down your paper, go ahead and hit play again. All right, and go ahead and review the text Lazy Anansi and the Story of the Lazy Boy. They're both linked below us in our Canvas module, and your notes from the previous work with these stories as needed, so that way we have a fresh memory of everything. All right, so let's go ahead and jump now into our learning target about comparing and contrasting stories. We're going to start with comparing them, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is we want to go ahead and compare what is that theme or topic that's present in both. And it's this idea that laziness does not benefit you, right? Anansi was lazy, the lazy boy was lazy, it's part of his name, and they both do not benefit from it, right? There's both consequences. So that's the similar theme that's in both of them. So now we want to compare how do the stories approach that theme in the same way. Remember that compare means same, or how are they the same? Define similarities. All right, so how do they do that? Well, both involve a character that's lazy. Anansi and Lazy Boy both choose to not do work to complete a task, and then they suffer severe consequences. And now we're going to go ahead and find text evidence, because of course we want to do that. Well, Anansi does not help with the food. I pulled out a quote from, I believe it's the very first paragraph in Anansi. Anansi was too lazy to cook his food. What was that consequence? Stop, he cried in pain. And the same with the lazy boy. He does not plant his crops in time for the season. That's what he chooses not to do. And then he has this consequence. See, I have text details for both. So let's go ahead and look at how I found my text details to connect. So the first is they choose to not do the work to complete the task. Well, what does Anansi not do? He does not cook his own food. The lazy boy does not plant when he was supposed to. They also both have characters that suffer severe consequences. What was the severe consequence for Anansi? What was the severe consequence for the lazy boy? So again, I'm not only answering it, but I'm also having text details to back it up. All right, now that we've talked about how they're similar, let's go ahead and now hit that learning target regarding contrasting them, because they have a similar theme, but they do approach them in different ways as well. So let's go ahead and contrast, and let's remember that this one is Anansi, and this one over here is Lazy Boy. All right, so let's go ahead and contrast. So Anansi has to do with cooking food, while the Lazy Boy has to do with planting food. Again, I have a text quote directly from that text. That's why there's quotes around it that back up that Anansi has to do with cooking food, that Lazy Boy has to do with planting food. Also, Anansi learns this lesson in the story. Okay, so at that very end, we talk about how Anansi rolled into the river just due to his painful legs, and that's why his legs are still stretched, or that's why Spider's legs are still stretched, because they could not return to their normal shape. Lazy Boy will really learn his lesson after the story ends, when he's not able to harvest enough, because the old man tells him, go back and plant your patty as best as you can. So he's really going to learn his lesson when the harvest comes and he doesn't have enough food. So that's how those stories are different or contrast. Remember, differences, that's this contrasting. All right, so go ahead and make sure that you have everything down and that you've paused and rewound as you need. And when you're ready, you're going to go ahead and progress to your assignment. We're reading two folktales, again from India, called The Rich Man and the Bundle of Wood and The Tyrant Who Became a Just Ruler. You're going to be filling out a very similar graphic organizer, and this graphic organizer and the text can be found on the next page of your Canvas module, so go ahead and head on over there.